فصل في الحث على طلب العلم والعمل والتعليم واطلب علوم الدين وارقى إلى اليقين فالعلم قوت القلب فيه رضاء الرب.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Welcome to lesson number 7, the second part of lesson number 7 from the book of fasting, from the book called Safinah an-Naja, the ship of salvation. In this lesson, inshallah, we are going to learn the types of breaking the fast. Same thing as before, but this is in respect to what entails. So the author says, وَأَقْسَامُ الْإِفْطَارِ أَرْبَعَةٌ أَيْضًا. The things, the types, the breaking of the fast are 4 types also. أولها, the first, ما يلزم فيه القضاء والفدية وهو اثنان. The things that make قضاء and fidya wajib, and they are 2. الأول الإفطار لخوف على غيره. The first one is breaking the fast due to the fear of harm for others, which means the person broke his fast due to the fear of harm for others. We'll explain that later inshallah. والثاني الإفطار مع تأخير قضاء مع إمكانه حتى يأتي رمضان آخر. Breaking the fast and thereafter delaying to make up for it until the next Ramadan comes. وثانيها ما يلزم فيه القضاء دون الفدية وهو يكثر كمغمى عليه. And the second part of it is those for which qada is compulsory but not the fidya, like one who is unconscious. وثالثها ما يلزم فيه الفدية دون القضاء وهو شيخ كبير. Those for which fidya is compulsory but not the qada, like a very old man. And ورابعها لا ولا وهو المجنون الذي لم يتعدى بجنونه. And the fourth is that which is neither wajib nor permissible, neither wajib for him to qada, to make up for it, nor wajib for him to pay the fidya. And this is the insane person who is whose insanity is not caused by transgression, not caused by intentionally. So the first one, inshallah, we explain these 4 things. The first one, أولها ما يلزم فيه القضاء والفدية وهو اثنان. The things that make qada and fidya wajib are 2. Before we explain this, we explain what is fidya. Fidya is food that is supposed to be given to the poor. It must be raw food. You cannot give cooked food. You must give it raw. And it is a handful of sadaqah, of food, a handful of food, which the ulama differ in how many liters it is. I'm not sure currently how many liters it is. Ala kulli hal, wa huwa ithnan. And for those who have to do this qada, make up the fasting and pay the fidya, there are 2 types of people. The one of them are those al-iftaru li khawfin ala ghayrihi, those who break the fast due to the fear of harm for others. This, for example, if someone who finds someone who is, for example, drowning, and he have to swim, and if he swims, there will be water entering his body, which will nullify his fasting. So we say it is allowed for you to break your fast. Or someone who is trying to rescue someone else, maybe even an animal from fire, but he says, I am very thirsty, or I am very hungry, and I'm very weak, I will not be able to enter and rescue and do this rescue if I did not eat or break my fast. So we say it is allowed for you to break your fast to save others, even if these others is not a living being, but wealth, money. But for wealth, if it belongs to you, it's like saving yourself, not saving others. So for those who break their fast due to the fear for others, not your own self, then you have to make up the fast and you have to pay fidya. You have to give this sadaqah, food. For each day, one mud, one handful of food. Handful, we mean the two hands, both hands, not just one hand. Anyway, if the person is doing it for himself only, then they only have to do qada and no fidya. If the person actually rescues, there's another explanation for the situation of a person, of a pregnant woman, or a woman who is breastfeeding. So for the woman who is pregnant or breastfeeding, if they break their fast, we ask them, for what you break your fast? They say, well, we fear ourselves. We fear for ourselves. If we fast, it might cause harm to ourselves. Then we say it is only compulsory for you to make up your fast. No fidya is entailed to you. If the pregnant woman or the breastfeeding woman is saying, look, I broke my fast because I fear for myself and the baby, same thing. They just have to make up for it. But if the breastfeeding woman or the pregnant lady, she says, I am breaking my fast because I fear for the child only, not for myself. So we say it is compulsory for you to make up the fasting and also pay fidya. So this is one type. The second type, al-iftaru ma'a ta'khiri qada'in ma'a imkani hatta ya'ti Ramadan akhar, which we somewhat explained in the previous lesson, breaking the fast and thereafter delaying to make up for it until the next Ramadan comes. And they are able to. So let's say a person was sick this Ramadan and they are hoping that they will be cured. They are hoping that they will get well. Meaning that sickness is not a chronic condition. So the person fasts, so the person broke their fast. Now, for example, they missed 10 days, the last 10 days of Ramadan. And all through the year, they were not able to make it up because they were sick the whole year, until the next Ramadan comes. And then they got well the next Ramadan. For this kind of person, they only have to make up for it. They only have to qada. The issue comes if during that year, the person was able to make up, even for a few days. So let's say he was well for 5 days. He did not make up for the fasting during that 5 days. And then he got sick again until the next Ramadan. Now, for the 5 days, he have to make up the 5 days and he have to pay fidya for that 5 days. For those 5 days. The second type is the type that ma yalzamu fihi al-qada dun al-fidya. Those for which qada is compulsory, but not the fidya. And this is a lot. وَهُوَ يَكْثُرُ كَمُغْمَنْ عَلَيْهِ, like one who is unconscious. The person who is unconscious, who lose consciousness, they have to make qada. But there is no fidya entailed. They don't have to pay fidya, but they have to make qada. So if a person, like we mentioned earlier, loses his consciousness by choice, intentionally, for the whole day, then that person have to qada that fasting, and it is not compulsory, but it is not compulsory for them to pay fidya. Same thing with many other examples, like a person who was sick, or who was traveling, or a woman who was in her menstruation or postnatal bleeding, and now she wants to pay back her fasting, to make up for her fasting, then she just have to do qada, and no fidya is entailed. She does not have to pay fidya. The third type, ma yalzamu fihi al-fidya dun al-qada. A person who is compulsory for them to pay fidya, but they don't have to make up for the fasting. So this refers to the old person. An old person who is weak, unable to fast, they are allowed to not fast, and they don't have to make up for it, but they have to pay fidya. Another example of this is a person with a chronic condition. Like, for example, we mentioned earlier also in the previous lesson, with a chronic condition, chronic asthma. So this person with chronic asthma, they can break their fast, and when they break their fast, they don't have to make up for it, they just have to pay fidya. Because the person with chronic condition, he does not hope that he might get well. Assuming that he gets well one day, if he already paid for the fidya, he does not have to make up for the fasting. And the fourth, la wala, the person is neither and nor. The person neither have to make up for the fasting, nor does he have to pay fidya, and this is referring to the person who is insane. The insane person whose insanity is not caused by transgression, means is not caused by himself, not intentionally. Tamam. Like we mentioned in a previous lesson, there was this guy who becomes insane once a year, one day in a year. So Hajjaj bin Yusuf came to him while he was in disguise and asked him, what do you think about Hajjaj bin Yusuf, who is a very crude person, very oppressive person. So this person said, Hajjaj bin Yusuf is an oppressor, is an evil person. And then Hajjaj bin Yusuf said, what do you say if I told you I am Hajjaj bin Yusuf? He said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, O leader of the Mu'mineen, you know, I am famous for having one day in a year that I become insane in it. So most probably today is the day that I am insane. So Hajjaj bin Yusuf was was happy with the answer, and he said, I forgive him for this good answer. Ala kulli hal. So for this person, even if it is just for a moment, it nullifies his fasting, invalidates his fasting, and he does not have to make up for that day, and he does not have to pay fidya. But all this, if this insanity did not come intentionally. If it is intentionally, he knows by looking at something, doing something, eating something, he becomes insane, and he did it, then he will have to make up for the fasting. So these are the four types of fasting, of breaking the fast in Ramadan, which entails whether qada or fidya or both or none. Wallahu alam. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi sallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.